The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences only, so don't tell your parents! Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Alright, true believers, welcome to another episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. I'm your host, JD, and oh my goodness, he's back, everybody.
It's
Kyle,
me.
you've returned to us.
I have.
We missed you. You've been gone for like a whole month.
I'd say about 3 weeks.
I don't know. You were gone for 4 episodes, and it made me sad.
There we go.
Yeah, Kyle's back, everybody. Rejoice.
You lived.
Yeah. So, before we get into our topic this week, I just want to let everybody know that we have a Discord now. Well, again, we had one before, but we never used it. But I remade it, and it's a thing now, so there'll be a link in the description if you want to just come hang out with us and shoot the shit, and there's channels to talk about all kinds of dumb stuff, and whatever. It's a fun time. So go check that out. So yeah. So Kyle, I don't know if you know this, but this little movie, I don't know, it's called like Avengers something or other. I don't know. It's a small thing. Not a lot of people have heard of it. Not even gonna try to go along with this, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, cool. Yeah, everybody. I'm sure, unless you live under a rock or something, I'm sure you know Avengers Endgame came out last week, and the world has been flipping its shit over it. I saw it on the Friday it came out, and I liked it. It was pretty good. I think it was a pretty solid conclusion to 10 plus years worth of movies. Lots of stuff happened in it. I don't want to say too much, because obviously pretty much any time you talk about Endgame, you have to go into spoilers in some capacity. So, and Kyle did not see it.
I have not seen a single Marvel movie since Spider-Man 3.
I have a hard time believing that, but at the same time I don't. Because Kyle's a contrarian.
I mean...
I do think it's kind of funny how your like story idea that you've been working on is like a superhero based story, but you like really don't like superhero media.
It's because you have the comics that are the source material, and then you have the movies, and the movies go off the rails from the source material, and I fucking hate it.
Wow. Well, fortunately we're not talking about a movie today, we're actually talking about a TV show.
Is it a TV show, or is it a cartoon show for children?
I mean, it's on TV, so I mean, technically both. So I think last year, when Infinity War came out, we talked about the first season of Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, which I really like that show, and it's sad that it got canceled for 2 seasons. So now that the second half of Infinity War came out finally, we're going to be talking about the other season of Avengers. So if I remember correctly, the second season, I seem to remember there being a story about like there's a mandate from Disney to kind of make the episodes a little more episodic, without not too much of a through line, like because the first season of this has like this kind of overarching mystery with like the Masters of Evil and the whole breaking out of the supervillains and finding out Loki's all behind it and all that kind of. So it's this big overarching mystery. There's little arcs here and there in the second season, but it's kind of more standalone this time around. But you got that, but there's a lot more characters that got introduced in this season that are more like what you would consider like more notable characters, I guess.
Yeah, it's like they went the what was it, Justice League Unlimited route.
Yeah, it's probably a good way to put it. Because yeah, like for the first season, you got like stuff that would mostly pertain to like the Avengers and those characters, like their area. But in the second season, I mean, the first episode starts with them crossing over with the Fantastic Four, which hadn't really been a thing up until now.
And that's what's weird too, is because Fantastic Four is, I want to say they were owned by Fox at the time.
I think, well, because that's another thing we'll get to in a second with another character. But I think it's like how Sony owns the right to Spider-Man for the movies. I think that's how Fox was before, or obviously Disney bought them a couple months ago. I think like Marvel themselves own the characters for TV, but like Fox owned the movie rights.
It's weird. It's weird when you get into that because even in the comics, I think the reason why they killed off like Wolverine and stuff like that was because they wanted to make new characters that they could use and maybe have the film rights for. Yeah, my understanding of the whole X-Men thing is that X-Men comics stopped being a thing for a while because basically it was X-Men and Fantastic Four too, because they just stopped making them like flat out. It was because if Marvel made any more comics, those storylines would automatically be like belong to Fox for any kind of movie storyline. So they didn't want to give them more material for basically free. Okay, yeah. But now they're back with Marvel, so I think Spider-Man and technically the Hulk are the only two left that Marvel hasn't gotten back. Because Sony still has Spider-Man, and I don't think they're going to be letting go of him anytime soon. And I think Universal has the rights to the Hulk for any standalone movies, which is why Hulk has never had his own movie since the first one he had back in the late 2000s. Shit, I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's why instead of like in Thor Ragnarok, instead of giving like his own Planet Hulk storyline, they kind of rolled that into that movie because they can't make a Planet Hulk movie without Universal's okay, and I think Universal's kind of like they don't want to make any more solo Hulk movies, so kind of a... No, Hulk isn't really that big of a draw in a sense. In the Avengers movie, he's kind of a crowd favorite, but I don't think he can kind of hold his own movie in a sense. I don't know. I think with the right story, you could probably make an interesting solo Hulk movie, but I think for how the MCU has been doing, I think they use Hulk just enough. He's one of those characters where he's too powerful to write a story, you have to have a monster or something, a threat that's way more powerful than him, and it gets in weird Dragon Ball Z level shit. Yeah. But getting back to like the just amount of characters that they added to the second season of Avengers is like I said, you got Fantastic Four show up. They add Miss Marvel is basically a main roster character this time around. Luke Cage and Iron Fist show up periodically. Yeah. War Machine gets introduced. This is before the Guardians of the Galaxy kind of got revamped. So the old school, I'd probably say like whatever the modern concept of the Guardians of the Galaxy's
was because you got Star-Lord, Rocket, and Groot in there, but like Adam Warlock and Quasar are with them instead of Drax and Gamora.
Yeah.
So you got those. Beta Ray Bill shows up for an episode. Falcon becomes a thing. Fucking Spider-Man and Wolverine show up. Like I think Spider-Man shows up once or twice. Wolverine literally shows up for one episode.
Is it voiced by Drake Bell?
Okay, so that's another thing about this. Avengers, or at least the second season, was out at a weird time, where Marvel was getting the TV rights back to all of its characters, it's the reason that Spectacular Spider-Man, which I want to talk about that movie that show at some point because that show is great. Sony had the TV rights, but somehow Marvel finagled that back from them, which is why Spectacular Spider-Man got canceled, and then they made the Ultimate Spider-Man show with Drake Bell as Spider-Man. But what bummed me out about this is that Spider-Man shows up in the second season here, and originally they had like all the for the first episode he was in. They had all the lines done by Josh Keaton, who was the voice actor from Spectacular Spider-Man. But because either Marvel or Disney didn't want to confuse kids, and because Ultimate Spider-Man was running alongside this show, they decided to redub everything with Drake Bell so that kids wouldn't be confused that there's two different Spider-Men.
Jesus. And then you have a movie.
Well, then, like, in that show, there's like I never watched Ultimate Spider-Man. Like I tried to like watch one episode and it just wasn't for me. But I guess there's like a whole season or two which deals with the Spider-Verse stuff. So there's like a bajillion Spider-Man.
Fuck.
So I don't know. And then this Vision shows up. And then this like the whole season ends with them fighting Galactus for whatever reason.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta fight Galactus.
But I mean, it seemed like it came out of nowhere because the big like I guess if you want to say there's a story arc of this, it involves the Kree Skrull War, and they jump back to that periodically. But the second to last episode is when they wrap that up. And then there's one episode left where Galactus just kind of shows up on Earth, and that's just they have to go deal with that. It's just really odd to like they end this big story arc and the last episode has nothing to do with that.
I do like that though, if it's like if they knew they were gonna get canceled and they just wanted to go all out fucking crazy. That's how I would do it.
Yeah. I guess. But this season is kind of like the Secret Invasion storyline from the comics, from what I understand. I don't know too much about like the comic storylines. I don't really read comics. Most of my superhero knowledge comes from TV shows like this.
Gee, I wonder why I would get pissed off at stuff like that.
I don't know. People say like Batman Animated's pretty good and in tone with the comics. I don't fucking know, man.
I just remember around this time, I was really big into collecting comics. I mean, I was dropping like maybe $100 every week buying new comics and stuff.
Yeah.
And this was around the time where they introduced Miss Marvel turning into Captain Marvel. That was a big thing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was probably like 10 years ago. The show is probably like 10 years ago, which kind of sucks. Or it's not that far, maybe 2012, I want to say.
Yeah, this show ended in 2012.
Okay, yeah. But this was around the time where they made that jump, and not a lot of people like that jump.
Yeah, So yeah, like Carol Danvers, who would is the modern day Captain Marvel, is in this. But I remember watching like a video of them, like how they wanted to design her, and I think like at the time, like the modern Miss Marvel, because she's Miss Marvel in the show.
Yeah.
I think that when they were developing the show, they hadn't made the jump to her being Captain Marvel. But they decided to go with like an older costume, like a red one with a scarf or something, as opposed to her modern one, which is like the black suit with the lightning bolt on it. Which I thought was kind of interesting how they decided to go with that instead. But then like the actual like Kree soldier guy who is the original Captain Marvel shows up and is a character in here trying to like save the Earth from the Kree Skrull War.
Looking at this costume now, it's kind of like a mix between the two, which I kind of
dig.
A
little bit. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I probably said this in the last time we talked about this show, but like I really enjoy the character design for this. Like, it's not the one thing I don't like about. I think it's still going on right now, like the Avengers show and the Hulk show. Like I think the Guardians of the Galaxy show that's going on right now is that like I don't like the art design in it because the character designs are just so generic.
Well, not only that, but a lot of the animation in it's very stiff and robotic.
Mm-hmm.
And these ones, at least there's a lot of love put behind it.
Oh yeah, like I was saying, I've watched some like behind the scenes videos for this show, and just hearing the creators talk about like, oh, we wanted to really do this storyline, or we wanted to pull in this character and put him in this outfit. Yeah, I mean, this show was made by a bunch of Marvel nerds who really like knew what they were doing. And like, even though this season is a lot more episodic, I think that they pulled off a lot of really interesting stories. Like, I like the episode where they introduced the Guardians of the Galaxy, just because it's interesting to see kind of a more old school version of that team as opposed to the kind of like group of rogues that it is now. Like Rocket's not like much of a smartass in this, like because like in the modern one, like he and Star-Lord are kind of like can be at odds or whatever, but like they're like mocking Star-Lord a little bit in this show, and like Rocket just like jumps in and is like, you need to respect him.
Well, with the comics and stuff, there's a lot of it's kind of like they're a team instead of being a ragtag team, because they all have their own uniform and stuff, and it's that blue uniform.
Yeah, they give them like the old school uniforms.
Yeah, so it's like, as far as the comics and all that kind of goes, they're more of a team than like a bunch of assholes put together.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, another good episode here, like the episode with Beta Ray Bill is really good because it's just like this adventure with Thor and Beta Ray Bill out in space, and at the end it shows like Beta Ray Bill gets his own lightning hammer, his traditional like hammer axe weapon.
Yep.
And then I remember there being like this really kind of cool episode where sorry, I had a brain fart. It's the episode where Ant-Man's suit gets stolen. So he has to hire Luke Cage and Iron Fist to track it down.
Oh yeah.
But it turns out the guy who stole it is Scott Lang, who is the version of Ant-Man that they're using for the Marvel movies right now. Because Hank Pym is like an old man in the movies.
Well, wasn't it like he had a debt to pay off or something weird like that in the
Yeah,
cartoon?
like he's like indebted to the mob or something, and the mob had like his daughter hostage or something like that.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah.
No, like Beta Ray Bill, I was really hoping for him to appear in the Marvel universe. That would have got me to see a movie, but I mean, know.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that Beta Ray Bill would never show up in the MCU. I almost fully expect if they do another Thor movie that he would show up.
Well, spoilers, guys. If you don't want to hear this or not, but since I haven't seen it, but I know that Thor ends up going with the Guardians of the Galaxy and having fun space travels at the end of it, I could see the next either Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor movie having Beta Ray Bill since he's a space alien.
Yeah. Honestly, and yeah, like Kyle said, it's kind of a spoiler. But yeah, when Thor goes off with the Guardians at the end, I was joking with some people the other day after we saw the movie I fully expect Guardians 3 to start with them kicking Thor off the ship just because he's being annoying. But yeah, I totally expect to see Beta Ray Bill in the MCU at some point in the future. I know in Thor Ragnarok there's like this big statue with a bunch of like aliens' heads on it.
That's
and
what I heard too.
Yeah, and one of them is if not Beta Ray Bill, someone from his species. So they are aware of it at least.
He's the Thorse.
The Thorse?
That's what everybody calls him, the Thor horse. Thorse.
Oh, yeah, kinda. Yeah, and I mean there's they do kind of the Winter Soldier storyline in this season because Winter Soldier Bucky shows up and they have to go through all of that. There's even an episode where Kang traps all the normal Avengers, so they gotta get like Spider-Man, War Machine, Wolverine, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and the Thing basically to be the new Avengers.
Yep.
So
and there was the whole thing with the Red Hulk, which was also another little thing around that time. I want to say Red Hulk happened around 2009.
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah, I remember him being
there.
a pretty recent thing when he showed up.
Because there was Red Hulk, and then there was also Red She-Hulk as well. But he was in this. He was in this cartoon for sure.
And that's another thing. We were talking about like the ability of Hulk being able to carry a show or carry a movie by himself. There's I don't know if it's still going, but there was or is a Hulk cartoon that is just all the Hulk characters. So like
it's called Agents of Smash.
Yes, and it's so dumb. It's Hulk, She-Hulk, Red Hulk, and then like two other characters that are Hulk related, but
nope, it has been off the air for 4 years now.
Thank God. Just like the fact you just have this entire team of Hulks just seems like it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, I mean, as a character, he's already super overpowered.
Exactly. Then you have like a team of 5 of them. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah. It's where the thing where it becomes like they're probably really held back or something. I think it was Abomination was with them too.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure. Because I know Abomination shows up a few times in this show.
Nope, it's his son named Scar.
Weird. Yeah, I don't know, man.
That was
one thing I did think it was weird is, which I probably said that a lot. I think this one thing is weird. There's a lot of things that are weird. In the last episode, kind of keeping in theme with the show writers or whoever, like kind of pulling from older storylines, is that when Galactus comes to Earth, it's not... Silver Surfer is nowhere in this show. The Heralds are like the four elemental characters from like his old Heralds instead of Silver Surfer. So back in my younger years watching this show and having little to no comic history knowledge, it really confused me as to who these characters were.
Jesus. Now they were probably setting it up. If they had a third season or something, probably set up a Silver Surfer thing. But I don't know. When I was a kid, UPN had a bunch of Marvel shows. They had an Iron Man show. They had a Hulk show. They had an Avengers show too. That's kind of how I learned about all these characters and stuff too. But I also read a lot of comics as a kid. I want to say, the Silver Surfer one was fucking Fox Kids.
Yeah, Fox Kids had a lot of the Marvel shows because they had Spider-Man and X-Men, Iron Man. Pretty much all the Marvel shows were on there. And I'm pretty sure they were all in the same universe.
Yeah.
Because I know Spider-Man showed up on X-Men a couple times, and the Fantastic Four crossed over, I think, at one point. Good old 90s Marvel.
Back when they were almost bankrupt.
Right? And that's why they started selling everything off, because it's like, we need to sell off all the media rights to all our characters so we can stay afloat. That's not going to come to bite us in the ass at some point.
I think Michael Jackson wanted to buy Marvel at some point.
No, it wouldn't surprise me.
He wanted to buy everything. He wanted like a stake in Sega. He wanted all this crazy shit. Well, I mean,
if you got that much money, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why not, man?
Speaking of Michael Jackson, he is an actual person in the Marvel Universe.
Is he now?
Yeah. It's for real.
Like in the comics?
Yeah. He's got his own wiki page on Marvel.
That's weird.
He appeared in the comics.
I mean, it's no more weird than, like, Obama being a person in Marvel.
True.
Which I think I have that comic somewhere. That's, like, the only comic that I own.
Jesus.
But then there's my dad, who has, like, a bunch of Marvel and Star Wars comics in a box in a closet somewhere. Like, I'm pretty sure he has the entire run of the original Secret Wars.
That's pretty cool.
In a box. Because I remember one year, like, he was missing one issue, so I got it for him. Just so he'd have the complete set. But even though I don't think he really cares. But, yeah, he's got all this, like, shit. He's got all these comics from, like, the 70s and stuff. It's interesting.
It's funny. I've got a lot of iconic comic issues, and they're worth nothing.
Yeah, comic worth like is kind of hit and miss.
I have the whole run of Death of Superman. Yeah, that ain't worth shit.
They tried to make that a big thing. Like, it was gonna put in the black bag and all that good stuff. And
got like Miles' first appearance. Got Gwen's first appearance. All this kind of shit. Yeah, that's not worth anything.
But yeah, so I mean, as much as it would have been nice to kind of like continue like the big overarching storyline like that carries through almost every episode, I still think the second season of Avengers still holds up just as well as the first. Like, it doesn't go down in quality, and getting to introduce like all these other characters throughout the universe, I think really gave them a chance to just kind of play around and just like do whatever they felt like. Because like, if they knew this was going to be the last season, they just like said, screw it, we're going to go with every we're going to go through every storyline that we want to tell, and whatever characters we can get a hold of, we're going to put out there. So
I think the first season was more building the team. The second season's more having the team do stuff.
Kind of like just like expanding the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I missed this show. I wish it would have had another season or two. That would have been great. Just because, like, I like the way I like the storylines that they use for this show. I like whoever did all the character design for it. Had just like a really interesting way of interpreting all the characters. And so it's a shame it got canceled as soon as it did, but it's good.
It was bound to happen.
It was bound to happen eventually. It was just gone too soon.
Cheaper is better.
That's true. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, yes, it would have been nice for it to go on, but I guess it's good to go out when you're still good than to keep going until you're bad.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, is there anything you want to say about this show?
I liked it. I would probably download it.
There you go.
If I can find it, I'll download it.
There you go.
I don't even think they sell DVDs, do they?
Yeah, I think you can get the whole show on DVD. I don't know if they have like a complete series DVD, but I think it's like you could buy the first season on DVD, but like the second season is split up into multiples, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't checked in a while. It'd be nice if they had a complete series DVD. I'd buy that.
So, I remember now they have it season 1 Blu-ray.
Huh.
They got the whole Spider-Man series on Blu-ray for $30.
Yeah, I want to get Spectacular Spider-Man because I've got the first season, and I know they never really released a second season compilation. They did the same thing where they released everything in like 3 episode sets, but then they made the whole series on one set.
Yeah,
so I'd like to get that.
This is right here, Volume 6 of Avengers. Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
No, they got the 2 Blu-rays right here for like $50, but
yeah.
$50 that I could keep in my pocket.
There you go.
Sorry, Disney.
Oh, not getting my money.
Yeah,
no, Disney already has enough of my money.
Damn, dude, I wish I would have fucking bought the Phase 1 DVDs.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but that was around the time this was coming out. They had a Phase 1 on DVD. It came in a big steel briefcase.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That shit is worth so much fucking money now.
Oh, yeah, I bet it is.
I just remember I was working at Amazon at the time, and I was just shipping out boxes of them. And we literally had, like, just nothing but pallets. To think that those are all sold and owned by people is wild to me.
Yeah. And now that the first 3 phases are over, the first saga is over, they're putting out this big box set with all the movies, and they haven't said how much it is, but I don't know. If it's got some nice extra features on there, I might be tempted.
There's one right here for like $90. I'll buy it now for $600. I mean, they're not that crazy.
That's the briefcase one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know the briefcase lights up, and there's like case files and all this kind of crazy shit.
Right.
I don't even think they did that for like Phase 2 or anything, did they?
Not that I know of. I don't think so.
Looks like they did, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember them being like a...
Looks like it's a portal, or it's like a... I don't know. Some kind of circular thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Weird.
I'm
Oh,
trying to see if I can find that box set, but I don't know. Whatever. So yeah, there you go, guys. I'd say if you're riding a high off of Endgame, I think this show is probably a good way to get your Avengers fix, I guess. It's a really well written show. It's the storylines that they do are really fun, and especially in the second season, you really get to see like the expanse of the Marvel universe with all these new characters and like storylines ripped straight from the comics. So
yeah, if you're allergic to reading comics and just want things spoon-fed to you, I'd say
yeah, be like me and don't read comics, but watch the cartoons based on the comics.
There you go.
Alright, guys, so thank you all for listening, and I hope if you're into that you enjoyed Avengers and this big culmination of 10 years of movies. And here's the 10 more, I guess. Spider-Man comes out in a couple months.
Spoiler alert, Dumbledore dies.
Yeah, there you go. Alright, well, thanks everyone for listening. We'll catch you all next week.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can catch a new episode every week. Also be sure to follow us on our Facebook and Twitter so you can keep up with the show. Links are in the description. We'll see you next week.